Please, don't let me die." Those were the words that changed everything. A dying woman, a mangrove swamp, and a boy who had nothing but chose to give everything. This is the story of how one act of kindness in the darkest moment turned a homeless cart pusher into a millionaire. But before the miracle, there was suffering. Before the blessing, there was betrayal. And before the rescue, there was a choice. You're about to discover how Chidi went from sleeping under bridges to sleeping in mansions. How he went from pushing heavy carts for 500 naira to controlling his own destiny. And how saving a stranger's life in the mud became the greatest investment he never planned to make. You don't want to miss this powerful, emotional, and life-changing story filled with lessons that will stay with you. So, sit back, relax, and grab your popcorn. Let's dive into this unforgettable journey. And if you're just tuning into this channel, please subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and don't forget to give this story a thumbs up if it touches your heart. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began. The morning tide hadn't even come in, yet Chidi was already on the fishing boat, his hands scarred from nets, his back bent from rowing. He was the youngest fisherman among dozens of older men, yet he outworked all of them. His torn shirt clung to his frame, his palms calloused, his shorts stained with fish scales. But he didn't care. He couldn't afford to. He was working to keep his mother alive. Chidi was just 22, but life had aged his spirit. His mother, Mama Ngozi, once a vibrant market woman, now lay bedridden in their tiny wooden shack in Bonny Island, River State. A strange liver disease had struck her 2 years ago. Since then, she had withered away, her body weak and voice faint. His father, Papa Chidi, stayed by her side day and night, boiling herbs, massaging her legs, praying for a miracle. That miracle never came. So Chidi became the miracle they prayed for. He had dropped out of school, picked up fishing nets, and joined a crew. While other boys his age chased football dreams and girls, Chidi was hauling fish heavier than his hopes, mending nets until his fingers bled. "This small boy they try, oh. Na him mama sickness they push am," another laughed. "Him strength pass some of us wey senior ham." But Chidi paid them no mind. Every catch was for mama, every cut on his hand a sacrifice, and every naira he earned went straight to buying medicine and gari. That afternoon, as the sun beat down on the wooden jetty beneath his feet, a white speedboat pulled up beside the dock. Its engine roared powerfully, drawing everyone's attention. Out stepped a man in expensive native wear, gold chains glinting in the sunlight. His wristwatch screamed Port Harcourt money. His cologne followed him like authority. "Captain Femi," the fisherman murmured. Chidi glanced up, his hand still gripping a net. Captain Femi tilted his head, curious. "Na small boy be this." He walked over, his leather shoes barely touching the wet planks. "You, wetin be your name?" Chidi dropped the net and wiped his face with his shirt sleeve. "Chidi, sir." "You be man pikin and you dey do this kind work?" "Yes, sir." Captain Femi stared at him for a long moment. "You strong, oh. I like that, and you get sense in your eye. You fit travel." Chidi blinked. "Travel, sir?" "Yes, I get shipping business in Lagos. I dey move cargo. Come work with me. I go pay you 10 times wetin you dey make here. You no go smell fish again." Chidi's hands trembled slightly. He had never heard such words. "You mean am, sir?" Captain Femi nodded. "I see something in you." That night, Chidi could barely contain his excitement. He rushed home, his face beaming. His father was feeding Mama Ngozi bitter leaf soup when he burst in. "Papa, Mama, Captain Femi talk say him go carry me go Lagos." His father dropped the spoon. "Lagos?" "Him say him go give me better work, more money, no more fishing nets. Him say him see something in me." Mama Ngozi coughed weakly. "Chidi, take time, be careful." "Him from our state, Mama. Captain Femi, him dey help people. I must try for una." That night they didn't sleep. Papa Chidi sat on their old bench staring into darkness, his only son, his backbone, going to the city. Mama called Chidi close and placed a shaky hand on his head. "My pikin, make shame no catch you. Make the city favor you. Make you return greater than you come out." Chidi nodded, holding back tears. "I go make una proud." The next morning, the entire compound watched as Captain Femi's speedboat arrived. Chidi hugged his mother tightly. "I go come back with money for your treatment," he whispered. His father held him, his voice breaking. "No let the city change your heart." Chidi got in the boat. As the speedboat pulled away, he looked back and saw his parents getting smaller and smaller. He didn't know it yet, but the city wasn't welcoming him with open arms. It was preparing to break him. The journey to Lagos was long and choppy, but Chidi barely noticed. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. He had never left River State before. Every coastline they passed, every oil rig, every tall ship felt like a step into a new world, a better world. Captain Femi didn't talk much. He mostly made phone calls in languages Chidi didn't understand. "Move it tonight, no delays. I know they do excuses," he barked into the phone. Chidi sat quietly beside him, trying not to look nervous, his small bag of clothes tucked beneath his feet. When they finally docked in Apapa, Lagos, it was like stepping into a dream. Massive container ships towered above. The port was loud and bustling. Forklifts moved cargo like ants carrying sugar. Everywhere, people seemed in a hurry, chasing something. It was nothing like the quiet fishing village of Bonny Island. Chidi's heart fluttered with hope. Maybe, just maybe, his life was about to change forever. Captain Femi's car turned into a compound near the port in Tin Can. It was more organized than anything Chidi had ever seen. High fences, locked warehouses, guarded gates. They pulled into a parking lot and stopped in front of a large office building painted gray with security cameras watching every angle. Captain Femi's assistant opened the door and Chidi stepped out clutching his small bag. "Welcome to your new life," Captain Femi said, smiling. Inside the office, it was like entering a different world. Tiled floors, large desks, computers humming, workers moving quickly. Chidi stood still, his eyes wide, afraid to even breathe wrong. "You gotta stay for the boys' quarters for now," Captain Femi said, pointing to a corridor. "Go clean up. Food day for the canteen." Chidi couldn't believe his ears. He showered in a bathroom with running water. He ate rice with beef, not the small dry fish from the village, but thick, juicy pieces. That night he slept on a foam mattress with clean sheets, no mosquitoes, no leaking roof. He cried silently, not tears of sadness, but tears of hope. The next day he woke early, dressed neatly, and waited for Captain Femi. But no mention of work came. Instead, Captain Femi told him to relax. "Rest small. You don't suffer too much. Make Lagos pamper you small." Chidi nodded, unsure but grateful. One day passed, then 2, then 4, a week. No work, no explanation. He watched TV, helped clean the compound here and there, but he grew restless. Each day he delayed was another day his mother wasn't getting treatment. One evening he found the courage to ask, "Oga, abeg, when I go start the work where you promise me?" Captain Femi smiled from his office chair, sipping brandy. "Tonight." Chidi blinked. "Tonight?" "Yes, your first assignment could come this evening. Be ready."
Chidi bowed. "Thank you, sir." He rushed to his room and began ironing the only decent shirt he had. In his heart, he was sure it must be night shift loading, maybe warehouse work, even security duty. It didn't matter. He was ready. But at 8 p.m., Captain Femi knocked on his door and entered, holding a sealed box. "Carry this," he said, placing it on the bed. "You go follow my boys. Una go move am go one address." Chidi looked at the box. "Wetin dey inside?" Captain Femi's tone changed. "You no need to know. Just carry am." Chidi froze. But Oga, I thought say I go work for shipping, normal work. This na the work. No ask question. My clients don't pay. You just deliver. Chidi's voice trembled. But if na something illegal, I no fit do am. Captain Femi slammed his glass on the table. You think say na charity I dey do? You don't chop my food for 1 week. You don't sleep under my roof. Now you want form saint? I no be criminal, sir. Then comot, now. Carry your load and go. Chidi stood frozen, outside at this time in a strange city. Comot, Captain Femi screamed. You think say I dey run orphanage? Get out before I call police, say you thief. Chidi grabbed his bag, his heart pounding. No shoes, no money, no idea where he was. The gate slammed behind him with a loud bang that echoed through the industrial street. Chidi stood on the curb outside Captain Femi's compound, holding nothing but a worn bag containing his clothes and a cracked old phone with no airtime. The street was chaotic, filled with truck horns and the shouts of night workers loading containers. He had no idea where he was. Just hours ago, he was eating hot food in an air-conditioned office building. Now he was barefoot in the cold night of Lagos, confused, scared, and humiliated. His shirt he wore was soaked with sweat. His hair was rough. His voice trembled. God, wetin I do wrong? He thought of his mother, sick and waiting. His father, believing he was safe. If only they knew their son was now stranded with nowhere to go in a city that didn't know his name. He walked, not knowing where he was heading. One truck driver shouted, "Oh, a small boy, come off for road before trailer jam you." He didn't answer. He just kept walking, clutching his bag tightly. The streets of Lagos at night were not friendly, especially to boys like him. Men slowed their bikes and called out offering work that sounded suspicious. Others mocked him. One man grabbed his arm and whispered, "You fit help me carry package, go somewhere. I go pay you well." He ran. Eventually, he found an empty garage and curled himself on the concrete floor. But even that didn't last. Around midnight, a group of area boys arrived, reeking of smoke. "Wetin this one they do here?" one of them slurred. Another laughed. "Maybe he won't join us tonight." Chidi jumped up and ran again. By 2 a.m., he had no choice but to crouch beside a locked container, using his bag as a pillow and his shirt as cover. The ground was hard and mosquitoes attacked his skin. His stomach growled. His back ached. Tears slipped down his cheeks, but he wiped them away angrily. I no go cry, I no be weak. But inside he was broken. By dawn, truck drivers began revving their engines. Chidi stood up, dusted his trousers, and washed his face at a public tap by the roadside. A woman selling tea nearby stared at him suspiciously, but said nothing. He had no money. He remembered Captain Femi's final words, "Get out before I call police." That man had lured him from the village with promises of a better life, only to try to force him into smuggling. That thought made him tremble with rage. He decided one thing that morning. He would rather starve than become a criminal. He began knocking on shops. From one warehouse to another, he pleaded, "Please, sir, I dey look for work, anything. I fit offload, I fit sweep." Most ignored him. Some men told him to come back, but make sure you're ready to work anything we give you, or one added with a wink. Another man, a spare parts seller, seemed nice at first. He told him to wait inside, then slowly locked the door and leaned in close. "I fit give you 10,000 today. Just help me do one small thing." Chidi bolted out before he finished the sentence. By evening, his legs were swollen from walking all day. His throat burned. His stomach was empty. He sat under a flyover bridge, surrounded by street boys and mad people. Some of them smoked. One boy was counting stolen phones. Another was shouting at invisible enemies. Chidi curled up in a corner, using his bag as cover, ignoring the rats that scurried nearby. He whispered to himself through clenched teeth, "I no go die here. I go survive this. I go make mama proud. I go." That night, despite the fear, the stench, and the loneliness, Chidi made a vow.
No matter how long it took, he would rise, but never, never would he become a criminal to do it. By the fourth morning of sleeping under the bridge, Chidi stopped hoping that someone would rescue him. Hope, he realized, was a luxury, and he couldn't afford luxuries anymore. His body had grown leaner. His cheeks no longer held the fullness they once did. His once smooth, dark skin now looked dusty and dry from days under the sun and nights exposed to the cold. But his spirit remained unbroken. That morning, he joined a group of dock workers gathering near a container yard close to Apapa. They carried sacks of cement, offloaded bags of rice, pushed heavy carts through traffic. Chidi watched them. Boys his age, some even younger, sweating under the sun, shouting for tips, dodging trucks. A boy named Tunde with sharp eyes and quick tongue noticed Chidi standing nearby. "You want work or you want beg?" Chidi replied, "I want work," softly. Tunde eyed him up and down. "You get money to buy tools?" Chidi shook his head. Tunde hissed, "Then go find another place." But an old man selling roasted corn nearby intervened. "Give am chance, let am try. If he mess up, you fit curse am." Tunde reluctantly pointed to a cart. "If you push this load reach the gate, I go give you 500 naira. You spoil anything, you go see wahala." Chidi nodded, gripping the heavy cart. The first time he stepped into the chaotic port traffic, his hands trembled. Trucks honked, drivers shouted, workers cursed. But he pushed until his shoulders burned. He pushed until sweat poured into his eyes. He pushed until the cart reached the gate. Tunde handed him 500 naira, surprised. "You strong, go?" From that day, Chidi became a cart pusher. Every day he hauled cargo, dodged danger, and earned barely enough to buy bread and pure water. Some nights, police would come and chase them away, shouting, "Clear this place, you won't turn pot to bedroom." He would run with his bag and cart, hiding behind containers. Other nights, rain would pour suddenly, soaking everything. He would curl up under a tarpaulin, hugging his knees for warmth, whispering prayers into the wind.
Still, he pushed carts by day, and he refused to steal by night. Some of the other boys mocked him. "This one form good boy, who goodness help for Lagos." He didn't respond, but deep down he clung to his vow like oxygen. One night, after a long day of work, Chidi sat under the bridge, staring at the sky. The stars blinked faintly through the city's smog. He whispered into the air, "God, I know you dey see me. No forget me. I beg, no let this be my end." He didn't know it yet, but the very next day, while trying to relieve himself in the mangrove swamps behind the port, his prayer would be answered in the most unexpected way. It was a hot, humid afternoon. The port was backed up with traffic, and the sun hung heavily in the sky, burning every inch of exposed skin. Chidi was pushing a cart through the chaos, shouting, "Make way! Heavy load coming!" His cart was half full, his throat dry, his shoulders aching. He hadn't eaten all day. As the crowd finally began to clear, a sudden pressure in his stomach made him stop. He needed to use the toilet urgently, but there were no public restrooms anywhere nearby, and even if there were, he had no money to pay. He looked around nervously, then remembered the mangrove swamps behind the port, a forgotten patch of green overgrown with weeds and garbage. Clutching his bag tight, he walked quickly toward it. As he stepped into the shade of the mangroves, he crouched behind a thick tree and tried to relieve himself quickly. The smell of wet mud and rotting waste filled the air. But just as he finished and adjusted his trousers, he heard it. A voice, faint, broken, distant. "Help. Please. Somebody. Help me." Chidi froze. He turned his head slowly, heart pounding. The voice came again. "Please, don't let me die." Fear and curiosity battled inside him. Carefully, he tiptoed toward the direction of the voice. The mud squelched under his feet. His heart thudded louder with each step. And then he saw it. Lying behind a pile of broken pallets was a woman in a business suit, her blouse soaked in blood, Her hands were tied. Her legs were bound. Her face was pale, and a deep gash on her arm oozed dark liquid. Her lips trembled. Her chest rose and fell slowly, struggling. Chidi gasped. He dropped his bag and ran to her. The woman opened her eyes weakly. When she saw his face, she whispered, "Please, don't let me die." Then she lost consciousness. Chidi stood there frozen, his mind spinning. What was this? Who was she? Was this a setup? A trap? But something deep inside him moved. This woman was dying. She needed help. Without thinking twice, Chidi bent down and tried to lift her. She was lighter than expected, but still heavy for his tired body. Adrenaline and desperation gave him strength. He dragged her through the mud inch by inch until they reached the edge of the road. Okadas sped by without stopping. He stood in the middle of the road, waving frantically. "I beg, help me! I beg!" Most riders honked and swerved. Some stared but kept moving. Then finally, a dusty old keke napep screeched to a stop. "Wetin be this?" the driver shouted. "I beg, sir. I need help. She dey die. Carry us go nearest hospital. I beg." The driver looked at the unconscious woman bleeding in the back. "You go pay me, oh." "I go pay. I swear. Just go." Chidi helped the driver lift the woman into the back seat. He sat beside her, holding her wrist, praying silently. "No die, madam. I beg, no die." At the hospital gate, the keke napep man demanded 800 naira. Chidi opened his bag. He only had 600 naira, his entire day's earnings. "I beg, sir. Na this I get." The driver eyed him, then hissed and drove off. Inside the emergency ward, the nurses barely looked up. "Na your family?" one asked. "No, but she did die. I beg, help am." "Where is her deposit?" "I no get money again, but she need help. I beg." Chidi's voice cracked. I beg, no let am die. Dem tie am, dump am for swamp. She no get person." He dropped to his knees. After minutes of pleading, the doctor finally appeared. He checked the woman's pulse and shouted, "We need to stabilize her now." "But sir, we need blood. Her type is AB negative and our bank is empty." "I go give her mine," Chidi said without thinking. They stared at him. "You sure?" "Yes, take am." Within minutes, the needle was in his arm. Blood drained from his already weak body into a bag. He was dizzy, lightheaded, but he didn't care. This woman, this stranger, needed to live. "God, if this na my purpose, I accept am." 1 hour later, as he sat on a bench in the hallway, his vision blurred, his head tilted, and he collapsed. His body hit the floor with a soft thud. The nurse rushed over. "The boy wey bring am just faint." "Give him glucose. Him never chop for days," the doctor shouted. And inside the ER, the woman began to stir. Chidi's body collapsed like a falling tree. One moment, he was sitting weakly on a bench outside the emergency ward, watching the world blur into spinning lights and white walls. The next moment, his vision turned black. Young man, nurse!" a cleaner shouted as his limp form hit the cold hospital floor. A nurse dashed over, kneeling beside him. "Ah, him don't faint. No blood pressure, pulse weak. Him just donate blood now," a doctor shouted from the ER. "Give him IV immediately." The nurses lifted Chidi gently and laid him on a gurney, wheeling him into a separate ward. They inserted a drip into his fragile vein. His skin was cold, his lips dry, his heartbeat faint. "Who be this boy?" one nurse asked. "Na him bring the woman wey dem tie for swamp. Him pay the keke napep, him beg us to treat am, and now him don collapse like this. No family, no ID, no phone credit, nothing. Yet him give blood to save stranger. Who dey do am for Lagos?" Meanwhile, in the emergency theater, the woman he had rescued, the one he had dragged through the mangroves, paid for with his last 600 naira, and given his blood to, finally opened her eyes. The ECG beeped steadily. Her eyes blinked slowly, adjusting to the harsh lights above. Her throat felt like sandpaper. She tried to speak, but it came out a rasp. Where am I? A nurse leaving. You dey hospital, madam. You safe. The woman looked around, confused. Wetin happen? Dem find you for swamp, tied and bleeding. You don't dey unconscious for almost 4 hours. One small boy bring you here. Him save your life. The woman blinked. Small boy? Him dey next ward now. Him collapse after him donate blood for your transfusion. The woman struggled to sit up. Take me go see am. Madam, you just wake up. I say make you take me go see am. Her voice was weak, but her tone carried the weight of power, authority. The nurse paused, sensing that this woman wasn't just anybody.
With shaky legs, she stepped down from the bed, still in her torn, blood-stained clothes. The drip in her hand swayed as she walked slowly to the next ward, guided by the nurse. The door creaked open. There he was, Chidi, lying on the hospital bed, face pale, arms strapped to an IV. His bag was still dirty from the swamp. His body looked fragile, like he might disappear into the sheets at any moment. The woman stood in the doorway for a long, breathless moment. She stepped forward slowly, painfully, until she was beside him. And then she whispered, "You saved me." Her voice cracked. Chidi stirred, his eyes fluttering open. He looked confused at first, then saw her. "You don't wake," he mumbled. "I don't wake," she said, lowering herself beside his bed. "Because of you." He tried to sit up, but she stopped him gently. "No move, you weak. I think say you go die." She looked away for a moment. "I nearly die, but you drag me come out from swamp, call Keke, pay with your last money, beg these doctors to help me and give me your own blood." Chidi looked down. "I no fit leave you there. I just no fit." "Why?" she asked softly. Tears filled his eyes. "Because even if nobody see me, I still get hurt." That single sentence hit her like thunder. She sat beside him, stunned. This boy, skinny, homeless, barefoot, nameless, had shown more humanity than anyone in her world had in years. "I promise you," she said, her voice filled with trembling conviction, "your life will never be the same again." At that moment, a woman in a black suit burst into the hospital room, panting. "Madam, thank God we find you, madam. Everybody done the search." The woman held up her hand. "Later, BC, later." The suited woman nodded and stood by the door, staring at Chidi with a confused expression. The woman turned back to Chidi. "Wetin be your name?" He hesitated. "Chidi, from Rivers." She extended her hand. "Chidi, I be Chief Amara, CEO of Amara Shipping Lines, and from this moment, I owe you my life." Chidi stared at the woman seated beside him on the hospital bed, unsure if he had heard her correctly. Chief Amara. The name wasn't unfamiliar. Even at the port, he had heard whispers of her. The shipping queen who built Amara Lines from nothing, one of the richest women in Nigeria. A private person, a mystery to the media, a giant in the business world. And now, that woman was seated beside him, wearing torn clothes, wounds still fresh, her eyes filled with something he didn't expect from a billionaire. Gratitude. "You don't know what you don't do for me," she said, her voice husky but steady. Chidi looked down at his fingers, his voice barely above a whisper. "I only do wetin I hope say person go do for my mama, if she ever did her condition." Amara nodded slowly. She turned to her assistant, BC, still standing at the doorway. "Settle the bills, everything." "Yes, madam." BC rushed out. The nurses had already begun whispering behind the curtains. "Na Chief Amara Bidato, the real one. That boy save him. Ah, God day." Chief Amara looked at him again. "You still look weak. You need food, real food." Chidi smiled faintly. "I go dey fine." "No, you no go just dey fine. Chidi, you give me your blood. The least I fit give you, na new life." He blinked, stunned by the weight of her words. Was this still real or a strange, beautiful dream crafted by hunger and exhaustion? By evening, BC returned with a nurse pushing a tray. Fresh fruit juice, jollof rice, fried plantain, grilled fish, and warm water. Chidi stared at it like he was staring at gold. Amara smiled. "Chop, I beg." He didn't hesitate. With every bite, the hunger melted from his bones, and for the first time in weeks, he felt human again. As the IV drip emptied into his vein, he finally relaxed against the bed. But his heart still carried questions. "How you come day like that, madam?" he asked quietly. Amara took a deep breath. "Now they kidnapped me." Chidi gasped. She continued. "Now planned operation. My convoy jam. My driver disappear. Them blindfold me, carry me go one place where I no know. Them beat me for days, demand 100 million naira." "You pay?" She nodded. "BC handle am. Them collect the money, but after them collect, they decide to kill me. Say I be risk. Them drug me, tie me, dump me in a swamp, make I die." Chidi's eyes widened. "Then just leave you like that?" She said. "Them think say I no go survive. And honestly, I not think say I go survive either, until you show." She was quiet for a long moment, then said, "You suppose leave, madam. God still get work for you." She looked at him carefully. "And maybe now you be part of that work." He shifted in bed, unsure how to respond. Moments later, a team of private security arrived. Chief Amara stepped outside to speak with them. BC stayed with Chidi. The young woman looked at him curiously. "You know who you really save?" Chidi smiled weakly. "I dey begin to understand." BC lowered her voice. "Chief Amara no be just rich. She get power, connections. People dey die to get close to am. And you drag am comot from swamp with your bare hand." Chidi looked away. "I no do am for money. I do am because e dey right." BC nodded slowly. "And now why it matter?" Soon, Chief Amara returned, now changed into clean clothes brought by her team. Still simple, but sharp. She looked like the woman from the business magazines again. She turned to Chidi. "Get ready. Tomorrow we come out hospital. You dey come with me." Chidi's eyes widened. "Madam, I no fit. I no even know waiting to." "Shh." She held up a hand. "Just talk yes." She looked at him, speechless, tears welling in his eyes. "Yes," he whispered. That night, as he lay in the hospital bed, he couldn't sleep. Not because he was scared, but because for the first time in a long time, he was no longer afraid of tomorrow. The next morning, Chidi was discharged. He wore a simple shirt and trousers BC had bought from a boutique the night before, along with brand new canvas shoes. His hair, still rough and uncombed, was tied back. He looked like a boy still catching up with himself. But now there was a new light in his eyes, a quiet flame of hope. Chief Amara was waiting at the hospital entrance with her personal security team and a sleek black Land Cruiser. When Chidi stepped out, she opened the car door herself. "Make we go home." Home? He didn't understand what she meant until they arrived. The car pulled up to a sprawling estate in Ikoyi, surrounded by high marble walls, security cameras, and a polished iron gate that opened automatically. A lush compound spread out like something from television, with trimmed hedges and stone pathways. Chidi sat frozen as he stepped out of the car, clutching his small bag that still had his only 2 old shirts. He couldn't believe his eyes. The house looked like a government building. A uniformed steward opened the glass door and bowed slightly. "Welcome, madam. Welcome, sir." "Sir?" Chidi's heart skipped. Inside, it was even more surreal. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The floors were imported tiles that reflected his canvas shoes. Paintings lined the walls, and soft music played in the background. This na your house?" he asked in disbelief. "Yes," Chief Amara said with a small smile. "And na your home now, too." Chidi turned shamly. "No, madam, I no fit live here. I no be—" "You saved my life. That no be debt where I fit pay with only word. But, no but. You go rest here, you go dey safe. You go chop and sleep well. Na the least you deserve." Her eyes burned. He had never been in a house with steady power, let alone one with air conditioning and artwork.
A steward guided him upstairs into a guest room. The room was larger than his entire family's shack. A king-sized bed with white linen, a bathroom with hot shower and good-smelling soap, a wardrobe bigger than his old room. Chidi stood in the center, frozen, unsure if he was supposed to sit or stand. "Sir," the steward said gently, "you fit bathe. I go bring food." He nodded. Inside the bathroom, he stared at his reflection. His face looked thin, his eyes tired, but he smiled. For the first time in forever, he smiled genuinely, fully. After showering, he was given a comfortable kaftan and called downstairs to the dining room. 3-course meal, jollof rice with turkey, plantain, fresh zobo juice, clean cutlery. Chidi ate slowly, unsure which spoon to use, but no one laughed, no one judged. Later that afternoon, Chief Amara invited him to the garden. The air was peaceful. Birds chirped from fruit trees. A marble table sat in the center with 2 chairs. Chidi took his seat carefully. Chief Amara sat opposite him. Her tone was softer now, motherly. "Tell me about yourself." Chidi hesitated. "Nothing much to talk." "Try me." He opened up slowly at first. He spoke of his mother, a market woman, now bedridden and ill. His father who worked like a donkey to feed them. The fishing job he took to keep them alive. And finally, the Captain Femi. "Him talk say him go give me job. Him lie. When I refused to carry illegal cargo, him throw me comot." Chief Amara's eyes darkened. "That man, him go pay for waiting him do you." "I no care about him again. I just want help my parents. My mama health they fail. We no even fit afford test, talk more of treatment." Chief Amara was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke quietly. "Waiting if I tell you say I fit fly your mama abroad for treatment." Chidi's head shot up. "Madam? I go arrange everything. Full medical support, private hospital, flight. Your papa too, if necessary." He covered his mouth. The tears came fast. "But why? Why you dey do all this for me?" he asked. She looked him straight in the eyes. "Because you give me something where nobody else give me. Humanity. When I no get nothing, not even name, you save me." She stood and walked toward the entrance. "Oh, and one more thing." She returned with a small envelope and set it gently in front of him. He opened it. A bank draft. 10 million naira. Chidi gasped, his chest tightening. He backed away, trembling. I no fit accept this." "You fit and you go. Use and build future. Not just for yourself, for your family. For every boy wey think say dignity no fit survive poverty." Chidi collapsed in the chair, shaking. He had no words, just tears. The kind of tears that come when pain finally meets peace. The sun filtered softly through the mango trees in Chief Amara's garden that afternoon, casting a warm golden glow on the marble tiles and flowers in full bloom. Birds sang in the background, but Chidi wasn't paying attention to any of that. He sat on one side of the white garden table, the bank draft still resting in front of him like a dream he couldn't wake up from. Tears streamed down his face, not from pain, but from overwhelming gratitude. Across from him, Chief Amara watched silently. She didn't interrupt. She knew the weight of that moment. She had once cried like that herself long ago, when someone gave her her first chance. Chidi finally looked up. "Madam, you no know wetin this mean to me." Chief Amara leaned back in her chair. "I may not, but I know wetin you mean to me. You save my life when you no get reason to. And you no ask for anything." Chidi shook his head. "I just no want make you die. I no even know say you get money." She smiled. "Exactly." Chief Amara continued. "Tomorrow morning, my private jet go ready. Your parents go fly go India for full medical treatment. You go follow them. I don't arrange everything. Chidi covered his mouth again, shaking his head in disbelief. Your mama deserve chance to live, and your papa deserve rest. You give me second chance for life, Chidi. Now I dey give you one. He stood slowly, then walked around the table and fell to his knees before her. Chief Amara gently lifted him up. No, you no kneel to me. You stand tall, because after everything where you survive, you stronger past most people where I know. She looked into his eyes. Thank you, madam. But before he could finish, she placed something else on the table. A house document. 2-bedroom bungalow. Yours. Title for your name. You no go ever dey homeless again. Chidi froze. Madam, this one too much. Not for person wey give blood on empty stomach. For man wey him no even know. There was a pause. A long, peaceful pause. Chidi stepped back and looked up at the sky. He could see the clouds shifting slowly. Just days ago, he was pushing carts, dodging area boys, sleeping under a bridge. Now he stood in a billionaire's mansion garden, holding the keys to a new life. He whispered softly to himself, Mama, you go finally get the help where you need. Tears came again, but they weren't bitter this time. They were full of joy, full of healing, full of God. Chief Amara looked at him with the quiet pride of a mother. This no be charity, Chidi. This na harvest. You plant kindness, and now you dey reap destiny. As the garden breeze rustled the leaves, Chidi took one deep breath, then whispered, Thank you, God, for this miracle. And with that, his story, once built on hardship, betrayal, and suffering, turned the final page into something far greater: redemption. Moral of the story: kindness and integrity never go unnoticed. Even when the world turns its back, staying true to your values will lead you to destiny. Chidi's story proves that dignity in the face of hardship is powerful, and one act of compassion can open doors that even money cannot. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. Please share your thoughts and let us know what lessons you took away in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. And guess what? Another inspiring and educative story is coming your way in just a few days. So make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to watch when it drops. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired and God bless you.